some of the things that I remember that our young people don't know anything about anymore is about the feather beds we had. Most everybody had a feather bed. And when if parents could, when the daughters got married off, they'd give them a feather bed, because that was the kind of bed they mostly used. Sometimes the mattress might be made with straw, but if it had a feather bed on top of it, it made a good bed. But my mother gave me a feather bed and some feather pillows and some quilts. No, not blankets. I didn't know much about blankets then. We knew about homemade quilts.
But the quilts were with cotton in them, right?
Yeah, cotton. And those home quilted. Quilted home. Nearly every family had a quilting frame. Put the frame up, and sometimes invite the neighbors in and have a quilting meeting. Feather beds, of course, the feathers came from geese that the people raised. Now, we didn't have any geese at our house, but my grandmother did. She had geese, and you didn't kill a goose to get the feathers either. You picked the geese, just like you shear sheep in the spring. Well, the people pick their geese, and pick tender, the soft feathers off, pick the down or soft feathers off for the geese, and that's what they. I don't know whether they sold them or gave them away or how they did the feathers, but the other people had feathers. I kept my feather bed for a good while and used it. And then I made feather pillows out of the bed, took feathers out of the bed and made feather pillows. But I still have some feather pillows that were made from those feathers that my mother gave me when I married. Just those old feather pillows I had at home. I made the feather bed that I made from the bed that Mother gave me. And the same way, too, we never killed. We did our own butchery, had our preserved, had our own meat at home. Dad had a little many pig hogs, and before he'd kill them, he'd pin them up and get them real nice and fat and feed them a lot on corn so the meat would be cleaner. And they never killed less than 2 anyway at a time. When they had hog killing time, I always did it in the winter time when it was colder and better time to save meat. And my dad had put my brother, just older than me, on a pony and send him around to take all the neighbors and their support. That's the way the neighbors lived then. They loved each other and helped to look out for each other. And they butchered things. They brought us some too. And we had a smokehouse, and we smoked the hams and bacon, sides, and we made sausage. We had a little sausage stuffer, because you know what we stuffed them with. And Mother just worked on those intestines to get them cleaned up and everything to put sausage in. We had good homemade sausage. And sometimes we could make the bacon keep better, because hanging up meat a long time does get kind of strong, get rank. And Mother would fry out some of the bacon, not fry it hard, but just fry it enough to make it keep, and put it down in lard. Because she used that lard for all her cooking and her frying, everything. Homemade lard from our own pigs. And she would fry that bacon in the lard enough to make it keep. We grew our own fruit, too. And at one time we had a large peach orchard. But then the peach worm came along, and finally the orchard was done over. Was misruined finally. This tree at the time, and sometime a whole bunch. My dad was a great hand to try different fruit trees, different things on the farm. They're all like fruit trees. I said he had a big orchard of peaches, and had good peaches, good canned peaches, and gave peaches away. We didn't know what it was to sell things to neighbors and all, and we divided what we had with neighbors. And they did with us. And then Dad tried some plums, cultivated plums. We had plums, a plum orchard near the house that we got little plums from, but these were the big plums plums. Dad bought some trees, and they did well for a year or two, and then the bugs got them. Insects was just bugs. But and we had fig trees. We always had fig trees and figs. And my dad, too. Oh, we had pecan trees all up and down that long lane in front of our house. And on each side was a field. And it was all fenced, of course. And on the inside of this fence, in this field, we planted pecans all along on the right distance apart, up on each side of the lane. And my Uncle Jesse came and caught him one time planting pecans. And Dad told him he was out planting pecans. And he says, "Well, Tom, don't you know you're not going to live long enough to get any pecans off of those trees? But you know one thing? Years after that, Uncle Jesse and Aunt Molly came to our house and got pecans off of those trees that Dad planted. Because Uncle Jesse didn't plant any, because he didn't think he'd live long enough to produce. But he did.
Did Grandpa ever get any off before he died?
No, he didn't. No. And he bought a few pecan trees too, but most of them that he planted. Pecan, that didn't always come true to what he planted, but it made pecans. Little pecans that were really better than the big pecans were. My mother did, I think she did finally sell some pecans, not to the neighbors, but to I don't remember who she sold them to, but she did sell. That was later on in life that she sold those. And we have a picture of Dad and Mother picking up pecans under the trees when they were both old.
Well, then Grandpa did get some before he died.
Grandpa Carroll did.
Yeah, Grandpa Carroll, that's what I meant.
Oh, yeah, sure he did. Got plenty of them. A long time before he died.
Yeah, that's what I meant, my grandpa.
Oh, yeah, well, I was thinking about Grandpa years. But, yes, Dad and Mother got lots of pecans before Dad died. We had a big barn for the cattle. And one thing my dad did, of course, those farmers had to have a way of making money too, if they had any money. And my dad raised cattle, and then he had a big acreage of ground, a big pasture, and he raised a lot of cattle himself. And then if somebody around, anybody had a cow that wanted to get rid of on sale, my dad would buy the cow up and put it in his herd. Till finally, when he got a pen full, a buyer would come around and buy them up. Same price all the way around. Cows, calves, everything. So much ahead. And buy them, take them, and then we'd start another. We always had young cows at home. Did our own milking, churned, made our own butter, and got lots of cream. Homemade butter. Churned. We churned with a dasher with a stone churn, and a lid that fitted, and a dasher, pump up and down to make the butter come.